Good afternoon, everyone. I thought we'd have a different view this week. I think you're sick of that view. So I thought we could have a different view from my flat stroke studio. Thanks, everyone. Some great replies again this week. And there's a few things that I want to deal with straight away. Number one, I'm going to do a short screencast after this about how to search for journal articles. It is in the electronic handbook, but one of my correspondents has said, you know, give us a repeat. So I'll give it again in a different format, and then we can proceed from there. The next thing is essays. I'm getting one or two inquiries about essays, so I might do another little film after this on the question of essays itself. Okay, so we'll go with that in a minute. And lastly, there's the question of Marie Notsu has pointed out very tactfully, not so, that some of the questions are repeated. Well, yeah, I mean, number one. I write these questions kind of after I've done the lessons and all that sort of stuff, and occasionally I do repeat myself because guess what? I don't bear it all in me. I don't keep it all in my head. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just ignore them. If I do repeat, yeah, there is permission for the future. If I repeat a question, ignore it. How about that? Great set of replies this week. I loved them. I really did. I loved them. We have Rena there for a start. Rena kicks us off this week with talking about, you know, have you ever seen a person misdiagnosed, you know, not have a proper diagnosis of heart failure on them. And she reports some poor fella who come in, raised troponin, raised temperature, positive blood cultures, peripheral edema, x-ray, wet lungs, stopped weighing entirely. X-rays demonstrated vegetations on the lung, and now he's in heart failure because he's got endocarditis. Yeah, okay, absolutely. But you're revealing your background. There. This is acute secondary care. That question I intend more for the people who work in primary care, to be honest with you, because that's where the problem is really of kind of people getting missed. It's not in the secondary sector. Incidentally, I want to advertise this course around district nurses and practice nurses and stuff because really, you know, they are a target audience, but, you know, I have no idea how to do it whatsoever. You know, it's easy to write to a coronary care unit, but to write to district nurses is just almost impossible. I'm trying to find out what journals they all read, but my guess is that they're kind of out on a limb. Anyway, that's a different sort. This is a different sort. Different question entirely. Okay, on the question of putting a number on the quality of life they had since you last saw a health professional. Oh yeah, listen, don't get me wrong. I understand what the problems are here. You know, what one person means by not so bad quality of life, another person might mean, you know, something else by, you know, a raw number. But on the other hand, you are asking, and this is how I was suggesting it, you are asking if you're looking after a patient who's got chronic heart failure, you're asking them to compare how the trend in their quality of life is going. You know, you're not saying, give me an objective measurement of how well it is that you're doing. What you're saying is, are you better or are you worse than last time I saw you? And what's more, if you said, put a number on your quality of life, might or might not be related to their actual problem of heart failure. Could be that they're having trouble with the missus. Quality of life isn't just about your cardiac function. We all know that's true. And I'm not even putting it forward as a serious suggestion. It's just something I've seen done, and I thought it was an interesting idea. And there's Rena there. She's full of apologies for not answering the question about the New York Heart Association scale. Don't worry, Rena. That's all right. You know, if you're not compelled to answer, And you're not under oath either if you do. So don't worry about it too much. But I think in the last film, and then you'll have to correct me if I'm remembering this right, I think in the last film I spoke about the problems associated with the New York Heart Association. But we're going to come back to that in just a moment. Marie from up north in Blackpool, my little Blackpool sticker rock. She says that sometimes that she's noticed that the patient's understanding of their own condition is pretty poor, and she says that more information is required. There's something I want you to consider here, Marie. The literature on cognitive dysfunction in heart failure patients is enormous. Don't forget, these people have waterlogged tissues, not just in their lungs or in their ankles. Everywhere's waterlogged, You've got waterlogged tissues in the person's brain. You've got often, poor perfusion pressures in the person's brain. You've got well-reported depression following, a series of MIs maybe, or a, diagnosis of heart failure. The question that you've got to ask yourself with the heart failure patient is it the case that they aren't getting enough information? Yeah? That is to say, is it our fault? Or is it the case that whatever information that they get, they're going to have trouble remembering because there's something going on inside their heads which is blocking memory and blocking understanding? Which way around does it go? And I'm not one of my I only saw this woman today, as a matter of fact, but one of my more capable students, not that you're all capable, I have high hopes for you lot, got an article published in one of the nursing papers about assisted suicide, and what she asked was, given the fact that the literature surrounding assisted suicide is so widespread and so deep, and given the fact that depression is so common among heart failure patients, would they ever, in principle, qualify for assisted suicide? Because the question could always be put, is this person in a position to give meaningful consent to something so serious as assisted suicide? And she argued that on all of the criteria, you would not be able to justify including heart failure patients in any assisted suicide scheme. Excellent reply to the question about broad and narrow definitions of heart failure there, Marie. Really well done. And I'm glad to see that your computer is now back up and running. Pretty essential, I would have thought, in an online course, but there you are. And your answer about brain natriuretic peptides as well, bang on the money, and what you've pointed out there is that this is a technique which, it might not diagnose heart failure to the nth degree, but what it certainly will do is assist in doctors stratifying risk in patients in order to know who to send for echocardiography and who not to send for echocardiography. No raising BNP, pretty safe bet that this isn't a question of heart failure that we're talking about. Glad to see that your patients don't get missed and that you've never seen a person who hasn't appeared on the register. Anyone who goes through your unit who has evidence of heart failure after an echo will be referred to the heart failure team. Yes. Yeah, I meant this more in terms of for people who work in the community. Do they ever come across patients who've lingered away there on Ventolin for years, and it turns out that they've had heart failure in the end? So I'm going to leave it now. I'm going to come back with another little film because I've got some more replies to do. So see you later, everybody.